So today we're here within our video and we're going to be unboxing this. This is an AM3 R9 390 graphics card which I got off of eBay. In lieu of using a knife, I'm going to use this heatsink to unbox it. But yeah, I got it off of eBay pretty cheaply actually, and I'm going to be using it to mine Bitcoin. Well, I'm going to mine using the NiceHash miner, and hopefully we'll get some earnings from that. So here's a graphics card. It came with a bunch of bubble wrap, but yeah, I paid about $50 for this. It's kind of an older card, but this was pretty high end back in its day in 2015. And even still now, it's not really that bad of a card. It has, from what I've seen on the listing, it has 8 gigabytes of memory. And yeah, so it's a 390 card. And it looks like it's bent on this thing right here. I could probably just bend that back. Yeah. So shouldn't be a big deal at all. Yeah, so it looks almost new. It has its ends on it. I wonder if since this card was so cheap, it was actually used for Bitcoin mining. It might have been. Back in 2018, when everyone was mining Ethereum, this was probably pretty popular of a card. So you have HDMI and 3 display ports. So if I could just turn this around. Yeah, so you have this HDMI is probably what you're most likely to use, but then you also have these other ones which are covered. Your typical DVI, and then your 3 display ports, so I guess you could drive a bunch of displays with this. This is a pretty high power consuming card, because if you look right here, it has 2 8-pins, which is quite a lot of power for a graphics card. Normally you see a card use maybe a 6-pin or 6-pin and an 8-pin or an 8-pin. That is 2 8-pins. So I think this is like 300 watts just in the card, and that is evidenced by it has a huge cooler on it. 3 fans, some huge heatsink. This is probably a bigger heatsink than most CPUs would have. And even though this is an older card, it is pretty high end for the computer that I'm going to be putting in it. Which, just to show, it's that computer right there. This computer, there's a bunch of stuff under it, but I think I can remove it aside. Yeah, so this is going to be my mining computer. So this computer right here is going to be my mining computer, which I'm going to use. You can see right here I have a GT 1030. Though this is a newer card than this one is, this one is nowhere near as powerful as this one is. So you can see this. I didn't particularly plan it to fit in this case, but obviously it's comically large. This is actually a Pentium. It's a Socket 775 Pentium and has 4 gigabytes of RAM. So this would normally be an overkill card for this. Just a typical HP case. I'm going to replace the power supply though. I have a 600 watt one that I think I'm going to put in here, and that should be able to power this card just fine. As far as fitting it in this case, it looks like it should fit, but obviously I probably have to remove the hard drive. And again, I'm going to be using this PC for mining, so I'm probably just going to boot it off of a USB drive anyway. But if you did want to get a hard drive in here, I guess you could put one right here. So yeah, I'll put this card in here and try to see if it works. Okay, so now you can see that I'm unboxing this 550 watt power supply. I've actually used it before on other computers, but I put it back in the box. So this is a Corsair CX550M, so it's a semi-modular power supply. You can see the specifications here, but it gives plenty of power, and it could give us the two 8-pin connectors which we need. And you can see that I'm trying to mount the graphics card, but in order to do that I have to take out the hard drives. They just undo with that clip that you see right there. The hard drives come out, and now I'm just undoing the PCI bracket and taking out the old GT 1030 graphics card. And now I'm replacing the power supply, just undoing the screws and undoing the latch connecting the power supply, and that should just pop off as well. And yeah, so you can see that's a 288 watt power supply. It would not be enough for the graphics card. It could probably just barely power it. So here I'm trying to fit the graphics card in again. You can see even without the hard drives, it's a very tight fit. And it just presses up in there. And now I can screw back in the PCI cards. And you can see that I'm trying to put the hard drives back in as well, and they're just not fitting. The SATA connector is just too big that it would bend in an awkward angle. So what I ended up having to do is get that a right angle SATA connector so it could go under the graphics card. You can see that the graphics card butts up against the RAM pretty tightly. So overall I did get it to fit in, but it's a very, very tight fit in this computer. So this is another computer which I got. It's a Socket 1155 Xeon. I have 8 gigabytes of RAM in it, and I'm running the old graphics card in that one. So that motherboard I just got, I'm planning on doing some upgrades with that one as well, because it is much more powerful than the computer which you just saw in the old HP case. So what I might end up doing is making a new computer that has the 390 graphics card and that Xeon motherboard, though I would need a new case for that because the SATA ports on that one are completely different. So overall, I guess stay tuned for a future video where I upgrade this computer farther and set it up to mine Bitcoin. Right now, as I have it, it's just the pieces which I have. It's not really ready yet. So that will be in a future video, and I could finish building this desktop PC.